For the last few days, we've had animal stories, too, and there's an update on one. A P1 listener heard the story of the man in Jacksonville, Florida, who wound up killing a chicken, his neighbor's rooster, that he says was aggressive toward him. We had the raw video and audio of that interview.
Did Steph send that in?
Yes.
She said you need to see the whole unedited piece of video, and worth it.
She absolutely right. She had raised chickens and said that they are aggressive. She had at least 8 chickens, she said, and she showed us pictures of her legs where she had been spurred.
Told you.
And you were right about that.
You're right, Dave.
And the man who killed the chicken and said that he did it with one lucky shot, he was swinging a stick at it because it was very aggressive toward him. He also said, hey, the chicken attacked my father, too, his elderly father.
He had pictures
of his legs. And so there's a little more from the uncut, the raw video, if you will. And he said, oh, yeah, I want to talk about this and look at my father's legs.
So I figure this is my property. I got a right to protect life, property, and live, just like you do. If a man comes to attack you and you know kung fu, you're going to hi-ya him, right? Okay, simple as that. So I'm defending myself. You know, I was feared for my safety, and the chicken, died.
That's all there is to it.
Hi-ya.
You go to hi-ya him.
Hi-ya.
And I hi-ya'd him.
We're using kung fu.
Karate chop.
I hi-ya'd him. And he did. He did. You got a dog, you got to hi-ya him, or an aggressive neighbor. And so this gentleman, and in the raw 8-minute video, I have to salute, Dave, you work in this business, local news. They had 8 minutes of pure gold for this guy.
It starts with the camera over the reporter's shoulder. She's a young woman. I don't know who's operating the camera, but they're basically walking up to this trailer home, and the man's getting out of his truck, and she says, hey, I don't know, Christy or whatever.
Right, yeah.
I'm with Action Jacks. And he's like, you want to talk to us? He goes,
yeah, I'll talk to you. And he came walking right. He's like, yeah.
Every lawyer in America's head's exploded.
No. Yeah, I'll talk to you. And he went, and he, for 8 minutes, he just gave him soundbite after soundbite. And they were able to piece it together nicely. His best, I think they say for last. It was right in the middle, but at the end of that piece, he said, look, if you're concerned about this chicken.
Chickens are dying every day, people, at churches, Popeyes, and Kentucky Fried Chicken. Really.
Okay. And
now, we've only heard it until this morning.
When you see the video of it, he turns to the camera to break that third wall and says, churches, Popeyes, KFC. Really?
He looks staring right into your soul, your chicken-eating soul.
He knows how to work the cam.
Starting to be on his side.
It was a masterclass.
Starting to be on his side. Another animal story. In November of 2020, this story began. We covered it then. We covered it when it broke in November of 2020, nobody really knew about it. But in the summer of 21, in Raleigh, North Carolina, there was people
started getting reports of snakes.
A zebra cobra. A zebra cobra. Spitting cobra. Yeah. One reporter, this is from June of 2021, when a cobra had been reported in neighborhoods in Raleigh, North Carolina. And the woman who was the reporter had a run-in.
Man, Louisville's on.
Oh, sorry.
The same home where a venom-spitting snake was last spotted is a place I came face-to-face with it. Our photojournalist filming as I walked up to this house to speak with the owners. Checking my surroundings, I look down and can't believe what I'm seeing. The dangerous, non-native zebra cobra, just 2 feet away, close enough to spray its venom in my face. The snake and I make eye contact and slowly back away from each other.
Oh, crap, that's a reporter. Oh, crap, that's a zebra cobra.
I think I know her. She's from WRAL.
That's right.
I've seen her in my travels.
Channel 5. Anybody get away with anything?
Channel 5. So
let's just stare at each other for a minute. Maybe she'll blink first.
Well,
do you think if you spit at a spitting cobra, it would be insulted?
Yes.
Like hawk to loogie?
I do.
Watch this.
I do think so.
I think they have accuracy.
I bet you're right.
But can they? But they're not used to spitting at humans, right? At like a 5 foot, 6 foot.
You wouldn't
human.
think so.
I think the taller you are, Kelly, advantage you.
I agree.
Still,
spitting cobra.
Target's a target.
Now we know the owner. WRAL got an exclusive interview with the owner of the snake. His name is Chris Gifford. He's 22 now. He was only 20 at the time. And he loved having venomous snakes in his home. Mm-hmm. And he would show them on social media. And people and the news have been trying to get his story for a year and a half now, since this cobra got out over a year ago. And finally, he talked with the Raleigh News, WRAL.
I was young and terrified. I still am young and terrified about the whole situation.
It started in November of 2020 when he purchased 2 baby zebra cobras. He put them in temporary enclosures. The next morning, one deadly snake was gone.
Right there, he did. He's like, uh-oh.
That should never be... That shouldn't be a thing.
The first night.
One night.
Temporary enclosures.
Temporary enclosure should not be a thing.
Well,
honey, where's your snakes?
Okay.
In the temporary enclosure, man.
I like that on night 1, that snake was like, you think I'm dying in Raleigh? I'm out of here. I'm heading to Atlanta. Come with me.
No, I'll stay.
I hear the scene's happening.
One stayed behind.
All right, I'll settle for Durham.
The other left. And this, at that time, 20-year-old Chris Gifford said, I lost one.
This giant oh crap moment where that latch is supposed to stay secure on the bottom, it was loose and that lid was able to pop up. And that was something that I should have 100% full-blown checked.
Then the panic.
Immediately just frantic searching. Just checking everywhere and anywhere.
Based on the baby snake's natural habitat and appetite, Gifford convinced his parents the snake couldn't survive the winter months.
The winter months did have...
Honey, Mom, I Googled it.
A couple of things. The winter months had 3 snowfalls and 50 days below freezing at night, below 32 degrees.
Where was the snake when he had it? Was it outside or inside?
No, inside. That's a great question. He also explained in the report.
Like in a basement?
He had it in a basement, and he had sealed every single hole. He looked around to see if there were any holes where the snake could get out. Unfortunately, he moved a desk.
The snake had a drill.
Well, he moved a desk and saw a small hole in the wall, and he's like, "That
See ya, bitch."
could have got."
Yeah. Snake find hole.
It did.
Snake find hole?
Snake find hole.
And he told his parent, he lived with his parents, he said, there's a snake in the drywall. And the mom said, we have to call the authorities. And the kid said, it'll die. It's dead. The 20-year-old at the time said, no, the snake will die. And then lo
But it's
and
still
behold,
summer.
Well, it was winter then. It was November. It was November, late November when it got away.
In the cold November rain.
And it got...
Everybody needs some time on their own.
All alone.
It was right past Thanksgiving. Okay, cold November, and the kid said it's about to be December, January, and February. That snake is dead, unfortunately.
Because I was scared, I convinced them that I don't think we need to make this call. I think this thing should be dead.
But then came June and a visit from animal control for what he thought was a routine check on his snakes.
Apparently, they come every so often.
Snake check. Shakedown.
All right. By
Toss
our
it to
records,
sales. Toss it to sales.
says here you have 8 snakes.
Well, let's count first.
I'm counting 7 here. Huh.
Well, here's the deal. The real reason they just came, the snake check was a ruse. They just went in and said, snake check. And then at the end, they were like, oh, yeah? Well, there's a spitting cobra that's been reported out there, and we think you owned it. And he lied to them. He said, oh, no. Well, that's what he's apologizing for now. He explains that.
She tells me after this is the real reason I'm here, pulls out her phone, and lo and behold, it is a picture of, for sure, a zebra spitting cobra that is now grown. She asked me, is this snake yours? I was petrified.
He said no. He said, no, it's not mine.
Snakes in downtown Raleigh having a margarita.
Ever Charlie Goodnight?
We saw it.
Ever the Ritz.
So, caught a show at the Red Hat.
Yeah, Red Hat Amphitheater down there.
We got a picture of this snake on the NC State campus. He says he knows you. I don't know. That's
Sitting up at the grass
oh, God. I don't recall that snake.
at an Avett Brothers concert.
Oh, spitting cobra.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, the spitting one.
Well,
Yeah, I did have one of those.
so he says, what do I think
Not
about
my
it?
snake, man.
And she left. And then his conscience got the best of him. He said, I couldn't risk. He thought maybe a child could be bitten.
Oh, you said NC State.
Let me.
Yeah,
so
that's mine.
he called her back.
I did not know what to do. I was scared.
Soon after she left, Gifford's conscience took over.
I need to take heat for this. I messed up big time. This thing is still out there. And so I immediately called her. She came back to the house, and I gave the full story.
And he told her it disappeared in November, and it's out there.
Mm-hmm.
And now, 2 years later, He still owns snakes, and he still takes pictures of them and puts them on his social media. And now, unfortunately, he gets a lot of hate comments below his videos and stuff saying, "Aren't you that guy that let that snake get loose in tormented neighborhoods?"
The spring of terror.
Yeah. They found the snake, by the way, 3 streets over from where he lived. The spitting cobra.
Did it eat mice and cats and
They don't know. They must have. I mean, I say mice, don't you think?
voles and chipmunks?
But it survived the whole winter. I mean, it didn't show up until June.
Yeah, I mean, they could find somewhere to stay warm.
I like this kid's moxie, though. Something about him. Now,
Moxie?
cut of his jib. Jib. I liked his jib because at the end they said
It's hard to learn. Young.
he's 20.
Yeah.
They said, "Why do this interview?"
Giffords' message is simple. He's sorry.
Mostly this is just an apology because there are no excuses for what happened.
Something about him. It's like, okay, but he should have made the call.
Well, he did own up to his
did.
mistake.
Yeah.
And the good is, no one was spat in.
Thank goodness. He should have made the call in November when the snake disappeared. If you've got something that dangerous. And really, he went to his mother and convinced her and his father and convinced them, we don't need to make this call. They probably should have said, oh, yes, we do.
Yeah, they're the adult in the room.
Yeah,
as
you
they say.
have to.
Although he is 20.
He's 20.
He's an adult.
Meanwhile, the snake's shacked up with a neighbor for the winter,
Eating cats.
I know.
fighting with each other.
I know. God.
Get a job. I can't. I'm a wanted man.
I'm on the run.
There was a woman in Missouri. This is about snakes also. Her name is Vicky Rule. She's in Missouri, and she was visiting a family friend about an hour from where she lived. They live out in a very rural area. So she visited with them, and in the hour drive back to her home, shortly into the drive, a snake appeared all of a sudden. It crawled out of her windshield, but was on the outside of the vehicle on her windshield. And she did not want to pull over because she said she was worried about being stuck on the side of the highway in the heat. And she had no idea what to do. And the snake didn't move the whole time she was driving back to her house. And she goes, I can't go home. I'm not taking this snake home with me. What to do? She told the story. She said it was terrifying.
It is my worst nightmare come true in that moment. It is so surreal. It was almost 100 degrees out. Where am I going to go? And I'm probably going to get hit. To have to experience that while driving, I'll never forget it.
Miserable for her, she said. She wound up pulling over about 3 miles from her house, getting out, calling animal control. But by the time they got there, the snake had crawled off her vehicle and out into the woods. It's a bull snake, they said. She took a video of it.
That's not poisonous, I don't think.
Not venomous, that's right. But the suggestion was if you see a snake in your car or in your home, this was the man who rescued her from the Missouri Rescue, John Gibson. He says, don't panic. Just be calm.
I think most humans panic.
That's what, yeah.
I would.
I would too. He says, just relax. The snake is likely trying to find a place to hide, rest, or keep warm. Just go about your business. And he says if it's in your house, if it's in your house and you're brave enough, take a broom and try to sweep it out onto the front porch and get it outside. You push it into the right place. Push it into the right direction. Wow, that's the cobra thing is really scary.
Yeah, the cobra thing.
That's a big deal.
What did they do with the cobra when they found it? Did they give it to a zoo or?
I don't remember. Some sort of animal rescue something. They didn't kill it, right? They didn't kill it.
So he still has one spitting cobra?
Yeah, he's got a lot of poisonous snakes. I mean,
I thought, every now and then when you hear these stories, certain states make them illegal.
He has them. They said in that news report that he still puts pictures of his venomous snakes. He's still dealing with them. And I guess it's not illegal for him to have them.
There is a state I saw last week. I can't remember what state it was, though, that is trying to make it illegal for anybody to have venomous snakes to own unless you are a certified zoo.
Well, I'll tell you this, too. He got a lot of fines because he didn't call animal rescue in the first place.
And lied to the cops.
And he lied to the cops originally. He did call them back. But he faced a lot of fines and stuff like that. His parents helped him pay it. But he says, I was young and stupid, and I would never make that mistake again. So that's that's his story. I don't know, something about his jib.
Time will tell.
Later, he did try to fess up and do the right thing. There's an iguana problem in Florida.
Yeah.
This seems that
We've seen it. When it gets cold, they fall out of the trees.
Yes, they do. That's exactly right. One guy says he's had one in his toilet 3 times. He's had 3 different iguanas in his toilet, and that we have the news piece from that as well. That's become a huge problem that they're crawling up through toilets and getting into homes.
Every time I walk into the restroom, I open the lid of the toilet with a certain amount of apprehension.
And who can blame him? For the third time in less than a year, Bruce Byers found an iguana in his toilet.
3 times. And the first time he sat down on it and it nipped him.
He didn't look.
Very rare, uninvited iguana in toilet. UIIT.
My God, what did you eat?
Did you invite this iguana in here? I did not. Sir, you are not invited to this toilet.
They bite.
They do.
I mean, they have little teeth.
If cornered.
They got big mouths.
And claws.
Well, they call in this guy who's like the iguana hunter.
This is twice in the last week. So it's happening more and more.
At least he has Harold Rondon to call, who makes a living removing iguanas.
One time it was funny, second time, let's do something, but now the third time?
First they covered the vent on the roof. Figured that's how they were getting in. Now it's just a mystery.
We know it's not the vents. He looked for a little open sewer line around his house. He hasn't found one. You go into that bathroom, half asleep, sit down, and it unfortunately gets you. It's tearing flesh.
It's going to tear you. It's going to tear whatever.
The most sensitive flesh.
Whatever's dangling.
Maybe that happened to you, Kelly, in your sleep.
Do you think?
You got iguana bit in your butthole.
Is it
It's
possible?
never healed.
Is it possible?
I'm going to bite her right here.
He's going to torment him for 10 years.
This is where the good meat is.
Dave doesn't know about your latest product.
My butthole is on fire right now. But I got
His butthole's on fire.
Right now it's awful. It's the worst it's been.
What is that?
This is
It looks like dog shampoo.
Okay, yeah.
Let me see it.
Well, there's a fun story.
Smell it. Smell it.
Smell of it.
It's from the berry patch. The bottle? Smell it inside. Open it up.
Not his butt.
Now, well, either one.
Well,
whatever you want. I don't know how invasive you want.
Don Joy.
Don Joy was sent by the folks that run the Berry Patch, which is an ice cream store, so they know all about this.
Well, it looks like it's almost ice cream. The diamond spearmint, orange.
It's a
lang lang.
It's a female feminine hygiene
Natural feminine cleanser for feminine balance.
wash.
She says,
smell it.
here's the note. Chris, wash your tail with this. Let it sit a few minutes, then rinse. My best.
With a delightful heart exclamation
Do you love that?
emoji.
I think that's a nice.
Very Kenny Rogers.
But it smells delightful.
It really does
Doesn't it,
smell
right?
good. Yeah.
Wash your tail with this. Why not?
Wash your tail.
Might as well.
Free ad time right there.
Why not? Exactly. Here's
Oh,
the
you're going to use it?
Yeah. I'll take anything. Whatever anybody sends, I'll take it.
Yeah, you got nothing to lose.
I'll give it a shot. This is the end of the iguana piece.
So for now, Bruce says he'll take a close look every time nature calls.
After the first time, I said I would never sit down again without looking. After the second time, I said the same thing. I'm not sure I'm ever going to sit down again.
It's real, folks. It's happening in Florida.
He's learning to poo standing up. Good piece, Miguel. Is he learning to poo standing up?
He is.
That won't work.
Maybe I should try that.
He's pooing standing up.
What's that down the back of your leg?
That's fecal matter, Miguel.
It is.
Great piece.
All right. I'll let that springtime forecast coming up next.
Ray's took a double header last time.